Brendan Shu is a digital nomad, mentor, investor, and entrepreneur. He's the co-founder of Aerial Canvas, a real estate media agency, which he grew to $700,000 a month in just 3 years, now with a team of more than 50 people serving four major cities in California. He's also the founder of ACRE Partner, a mastermind community where he helps real estate media owners grow their sales, build teams, and scale systems with business clarity and proven tools. In addition to that, he's an investor in seven different startups, runs two podcasts, and is always exploring new opportunities to grow. Brendan has played a huge role in my own success and the success of my company, Real 3D, and he's genuinely one of the most giving people that I've ever met. So, Brendan, thank you for being here, man.
I appreciate you having me here, Cam, and it's an honor. I've been following the pod since the very beginning, and I finally made it. I made
You
it,
made it,
you know.
bro. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah. So excited to be here, excited to drop some gems, some knowledge, some actionable advice that I think other entrepreneurs can take that listen in on these podcasts. These types of podcasts helped me tremendously when I started my journey in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, just gaining perspective, learning what else I could do with the business.
Likewise, man. So, Brendan, I'm a real estate media owner. It's 2025. I'm just getting my business started. What do I need to do to grow my business?
Yeah, well, I think there's a different spectrum of entrepreneurs and business owners, right? Like, what side are you on? Are you the creative or are you the businessman? If you're the creative, you need to find business strategies to deploy as soon as possible. If not, partner up and bring on business team members. If you're the business person, how do you partner with the creative? What value do you bring the creative? How do you bring in operations, marketing, sales, business development? How do you bring that savviness to their business that allows them to focus on growing their business and taking care of more clients on the creative side? So I think there's not like a one, size fits all strategy ever in anything that you do. You need to just look at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, how do you double down on your strengths, spend all your energy doing that.
Yep.
You like find people, find tools, whether it's software, whether it's joining an accelerator or a mastermind, or just finding some sort of mentorship. How do you, accommodate for like some of those weaknesses that you might not know what you don't know. So,
Yeah.
but it's not a very complicated industry. You do really good work. You put yourself out there in front of top producing agents, and you follow through with your promise, and it's kind of snowballs from there. And it's all a game of kaizen, that 1% improvement every single day. And people ask often, how do I double my business? I'm like, are you auditing your sales process? Are you auditing your customer service experience? Like, if I were undercover boss, even within my businesses, there's a lot of shortcomings. When I audit my business, I'm like, oh, we're not doing this. This is a week here. The audio quality when we're picking up the phone sounds off because, of X, Y, and Z. So there's all these little things that if you tweak over time, that's how you double your business. You improve something as simple as like the number of reps you do. Like, if you're an entrepreneur and you try to connect with one potential customer every day, I'm the entrepreneur that's always one more, and it's one more every hour, right? I'm
Oh
on
yeah.
Instagram. I'm not scrolling to just look at stuff. I'm scrolling because I'm prospecting. I'm scrolling because I'm doing market research. So I'm gonna send that extra DM, and it's like muscle memory. Like, I can't help it but to introduce myself and to also, learn about whoever I'm talking to and show that curiosity and that extra rep every single hour. You compare my actions to yours, who's going to get ahead, let alone in like one day, on an average day, I can show you my text, I can show you my IG DMs. I'm talking to 200 people a day, like not myself personally, but my team,
Yep.
an extension of me. I'm jumping in there. I'm at least personally doing 50 like actual interactions a day. And then you have your average entrepreneur that's just getting started, and they get discouraged on the third call. And like,
Hmm.
I'm doing the work that you're gonna do in 2 weeks in one day. And it's about it. Sometimes it is about that. like, those reps. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I should just like delegate this. There's a time and place to delegate, but there's a time and place that every CEO needs to pick up, the hammer and start nailing down, like
Yeah.
whatever needs to be done. And
Yeah.
that's what I've learned the hard way time and time again. Every time, even if I hire high level people, there's no one that's going to execute at my level. And I think the best CEOs are always selling, always innovating, always all in. There's definitely the lifestyle CEO and business owner where there's nothing wrong with that. I've been that at companies where, you take a back seat and you just let everything take care of itself and it creates a great lifestyle. But if you're trying to get 10x,
Mhm.
growth in the next 3, 4, 5 years in your business, you have to be all in.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think there's a lot there. And the one thing I've noticed about you, Brendan, is just the relentless effort of connecting with people. Like, I don't think I know someone in my network who knows more people in their network. And you, to your point, the more conversations you have with the more people you have them with, the faster your business is going to grow, right? Because it's just numbers. It's just a big numbers game. And so I think what I've noticed over my 5, 6 year entrepreneurial career is you just got to get down to sending those messages, making those calls every single fucking morning. Like, carve out however many hours you're going to do it for and get it done. And don't let anything in your schedule get ahead of that if revenue and lead gen is your bottleneck, right?
Yeah. Or, just work smarter as well. Like I've definitely worked hard. But knowing what I know now, I would have done things differently. Like
How so?
I cold called my way to 1.7 million. And that was, I don't think I could have replaced that with just marketing alone. But if I had focused as much on marketing as I did on my cold calls, I think I would have gone further ahead because those messages wouldn't have landed a little bit, on deaf ears with certain top producers saying, oh, who are you? Like, I've never heard of you. And I was working, the hard way. And now knowing what I know now, I put out so much content. I'm spending money on ads because it literally is me talking, on a more dialed platform. I have audio, I have visuals, I have,
Yep.
messaging, I have tonality dialed. There's certain days I make a call, I'm not feeling it, but when I'm doing content, I'm feeling it and I'm putting it out there.
Hmm.
That's reaching 1,000 people at once. I can't make 1,000 calls, in a month. Yes, when I make a call, does it cut deeper because it's actually me and people are I have real time, like, that back and forth interaction, and I can actually, like, dig deep with specific questions. Yes, but being able to reach 1,000, 10,000 people with a click of a button, yeah, I'm gonna pay Facebook $500 on ads. Yeah, I'm gonna pay them $1,000 to reach more people. Yeah, I'm gonna spend $500 to film and produce content to, put out there. Why? Because it's just leverage, and I didn't realize how much leverage I could have, until I started playing the content game at scale. And now, you know, uh, I'm, I think I'm still new. When I say I'm still new to this, um, I'm a master at scaling in many different ways, but like with ads, with media, with marketing, it's been less than a year. Starting to spend around $5,000 a month in ad spend, which is rookie numbers compared to like some of the mastermind I'm in. Some people are doing like $1.1 million a month, spending 300K in ads every
Holy
single month,
shit.
and I'm just like, yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's proven to be super valuable. I look at my stats, and even though I'm not reaching everyone I want to reach in terms of like, specific audience or ideal candidates or ideal, like, customer profiles, um, I'm still reaching. I looked at my stats, like 300,000 people a month. So like, yeah, am I paying to play? Yeah, because I don't want to wait for my organic stuff to hit.
Yeah.
Does my organic stuff hit without paying to play? Yeah, it still does. But it's all about leverage in this day and age. And there's other ways to gain leverage through software, through like mentorship. Like right now, I'm shortcutting my learning curve, in this by mentoring with someone that helped Grant Cardone blow up, helped Ty Lopez, and Dan Locke, and all of these. Within his mastermind, I think he has like over 2 dozen people doing $1 million a month. So, and that's specific in the marketing niche and the marketing realm. So
Yeah.
I got a lot to learn.
Yeah, we all do, brother. Well, that's what I want to kind of ask you, and this is more for myself too. I guess it's for like the beginner real estate media owner, right? Because I started my business, as did you and a lot of other people, with cold outreach and just getting that traction going. Let's say for someone who's brand new to the game, would you recommend, because of where we are in today's modern world, that you spend
Yeah.
the time doing that content and using ad spend like right from the get-go versus doing the cold outreach manually? Or what do you think? Is there a balance there? What's your
Yeah.
opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take a step even further back and talk about themes in business. So whatever you can do to create the most leverage the fastest, and running ads to a shit product. If your photo and your videos aren't good, you can run $1 million of ad. No one's gonna book you, or if you get
Right.
bookings, they're gonna book you once. So you don't want to fill up a leaky bucket. So that's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is like, how do you get to a point where it can start snowballing? And the only time you can do that is if you start putting stats on the board that's 8 out of 10 for every aspect of your business. So, what's your customer service and customer experience feel like and look like? Is it an 8 out of 10? What's your actual product look like? Is it an 8 out of 10? When I say 8 out of 10, I mean like, you know, following Pareto's principle,
Mhm.
it's a 20% of what you can do to get 80% of the results. Like, you don't have to have the most dialed in video and photos to get 80% of the clients out there that are not even looking to spend top 20% top dollar for the best of the best. So there's a lot of top producers out there as well that I would try to align myself with, and these are like the themes that I want people to like catch on to. The reason why there's themes in business and there's bad themes. When I say bad themes, some people are like, I see that this is like one of the most stupid beliefs out there with real estate media agency owners or photographers trying to build up their business. They're like going after all the agents that take photos with their own like smartphone. I'm just like, why, dude? Your goal is not to convince s- uh, a non-believer to believe, or someone who like doesn't want to spend money to spend money. Your goal is to get in front of people already spending money and give them a better option. Right? If you believe in buying nice cameras, Cam, right? Because you run a media company and quality definitely helps, and it definitely says something about like the output you can create. Versus you're someone who never has any experience or never had like any experience, and I'm trying to sell you any sort of DSLR. Think about it. It's so much easier for me to sell Cam a $4,000 red camera because he knows that red camera is worth six. And I'm like, hey, you want it for four? Okay, boom, I got a deal. Cam's already in the market for this red
Mm.
Komodo dragon or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know anything about cameras, but
Me neither.
I'm
Me neither.
good example, right? But because you and I are more business oriented, but like imagine me trying to sell that for $2,000, right? To an agent that doesn't even own a DSLR or any sort of high-end camera. Like I am just barking up the wrong tree. So that's one theme that you have to understand. Like stop trying to sell to people that don't get it and just try to put yourself in front of the people that do, and because there's so many people that do. And then whenever I hear about a photographer complaining about, oh, this agent's cheap, this agent's that, I'm like, dude, they just did you a favor. That's like you dated someone and they cheated on you. Great, you learned early that they're not faithful, and now you can go proceed with your life and find someone who is loyal that can be your future wife. So it's
Mhm.
the same concept in business. It's like, yeah, life happens, shit happens, but it happened for you, not to you. And so the
Yes.
faster you can move on, the faster you can like just realize that what does serve you. What served me was, okay, luckily I had my business partner who already handled most of the creative side, so I didn't have to learn. but obviously I did at some point. But my purpose and my intent as someone who was serving him in his business and trying to show why I was a good 50-50 partner with him was to go after sales and to build out the product and to build out the website and build out the operations. And operations and website, that's not complicated. You can pay someone 3K to build you a good website. You can license our websites for a good rate as well if you wanted to just grab what works and just roll it out the next week. There are so many ways to like just get a good foundation. And if you don't know how, or if you don't have the money, obviously you can be resourceful. When I say resourceful, like, there's just so many AI tools, YouTube videos that can get you 60% there, 70% there, where, okay, at least you don't have to worry about not having it. Because, like, I think if you can't figure out how to build a website in 4 hours that looks half decent, to just have a foundation to be like, okay, I have a website, someone can look, then you're not resourceful enough to succeed in this day and age. It's like it's out there, YouTube videos that teach you how to do anything and everything. But obviously, if you want to do it at the highest level, you should probably work with an expert. We're paying like 10K right now to redesign our website at Aerial Canvas once more. We already spent a bunch recently, like 2 years ago, and then we spent a bunch, like I think 7K to redo our Market U website, and it's paid. It's paid dividends. But back on the macro trends of like what needs to be done when it comes to developing business. Number one is you need to get a really good case study. What does that mean? That means your ideal candidate going through your entire workflow and getting the product and getting a result, right? So if I can find a top producer doing, 30, $50 million of production a year, pretty much like making $1 million a year, and I can get them a result. One, I know if I can get them a great result, it's going to allow me to tap into their entire network because they know other top producing agents. Number two, it's going to allow me to speak with confidence that I've produced a great result for, who I'm trying to target more, of those types of people, the top producers. So when I first started business with Colby, we had some decent people we were working with, but I just immediately found a top 100 list of agents in every city, and I was hammering that list, and I was trying to create those case studies, and I was trying to show them why we were the best service from start to finish. I was there from the very beginning, consulting them, getting to know them, showing up at the job site, all the way to delivering the product, making sure they were happy, making sure that they got a result by asking them, what did their sellers think? Did they sell it? When did they think they were selling it? How many bids they got? And I used that information to reinforce selling it like again and again and again to other top producers because I just created a foundational belief. And your belief is the most important thing. If you don't truly believe that your product can serve your agents,
Yes.
then how are you going to outsell me? You're in competition with me, right? Like someone like me, right? And so for the creatives that aren't really in tune with the business side of things, talk to your clients before the shoot. Talk to your clients after the shoot. Ask them questions about what their goals are, what their challenges are, like beyond just the creative of like, showcasing the house in a pretty way. Are you losing listings to other top producing agents? Okay, well, what if we can create marketing that is the last thing that holds you back from winning another listing? Cool. That's our intention. That's our goal. So that's on the front end. On the back end, hey, based off that package we just delivered for you, the photos, the video, the drone, the Matterport, how's the traction 1 week in? Are you getting a lot more views than you're normally getting? Have you gotten bids on this house? And I'm actually leaning into that side of the conversation, and I'm asking, hey, anything we can improve, right? And that's that theory of Kaizen that wraps around, like, and that allows me to create a case study to easily now bring to the energy I bring into other conversations, right?
Right.
It's not always going to be like, hey, let me show you my case study. But when I talk with the confidence, like me, I'm someone who has produced so many results for so many top producers. It's a very easy conversation to close more deals and to get more opportunities on the on the back of those deals, whether it's brokerage partnerships or introductions to small business owners that also might want to invest in a marketing retainer, and so on and so forth. So that those are like the themes that I want people
Yeah.
to like latch onto. Like it's not the tactics, it's not the how, but it's the why behind it. The why
Yep.
is find your ideal client, serve top producers, use top producers as case studies because those are your ideal clients, and then make sure that everything that you do like is a positive upward spiral in how you build your business, right?
Yep.
If
Yep.
I'm getting feedback, great. I'm using that and I'm building upon the feedback from my clients. If my top producer, didn't get a result because I sold them something, I'm gonna tweak the, offer a little bit next time and be like, okay, we didn't need this many video deliverables, or hey, we didn't need to go all out with actors. We just needed something that hooks people in, or like
Yep.
just really being a mad scientist when it comes to building your business.
That's gold, man. And everything you just said, um, if people were to apply that, there's no reason they can't get to like that 10 to 20K revenue mark like very quickly. So let's talk about once you're there, you have leads flowing, you got customers. How do you get to that next level? Because I feel like that's what I have learned from you. Real 3D has been able to grow because of so much of what we've learned in ACRE Partner. Talk about for those people stuck at maybe $250,000 a year in revenue and they want to build a team, they want to get to that next level, maybe scale to seven figures. What are like the key things that they need to focus on to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think everyone, including myself, we face this challenge time and time again, and it's that old age understanding of like sacrifice. Like, what sacrifices do you have to make to get ahead? Because there is no gain without some level of sacrifice. Are you investing money back into your business? Are you putting in more time? Because if you find yourself stuck, and you're not investing the right in the right things, right? Because you're just doing the same day in and day out, then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do different? Do I need to invest my time in a different place in my business? Whether and if you don't know, ask for mentorship, and it doesn't have to be from Acre Partner. There's so many mentors out there that can help you get out of your own way, and there's so many like standard, concepts of helping you buy back your time. Dan,
Yeah.
you can is it Dan Martell? Did I get his name right?
Yep. Yep.
Dan Martell, Alex Hermosi, they probably give you the right same concepts that we do. It's like you got to look at your time and what is the most valuable thing that you do and double down on that, and what is the least valuable thing that you do and delegate, automate, eliminate as fast as you can, because those things you doing $5 an hour tasks, $10, $20 an hour tasks, when you're trying to get to a million, every minute you spend doing that low value task is a minute you spend not getting closer to that big, $1 million goal. And so part of it is, once again, going back to sacrifice to do that effectively. A lot of people, they make their first 20K a month, and they some people do it in a way where it's just that's not, they spend all that money. And some people have families and they have mortgages, and I get it. It's not cheap to live in 2025.
Hmm.
And it costs them 15K a month. Okay, what can we cut back? If you're in that situation, what can you cut back to, have 5K left aside to reinvest in your business every month, when you are paycheck to paycheck? Because it's either you're investing money into growing your business, or you're investing time. If you're already maxed out on time, you got to make some cuts to short term. You're gonna feel some pain. Like to bring on
Yeah.
a creative specialist, a photographer to shoot for me, it's like 10K of equipment, 5K to 10K in training and staffing costs. Um, that's 20K. For the average entrepreneur, that's like you got to make a 5K sacrifice for 4 months before they even start making you money.
Hmm.
But the best creative at Aerial Canvas brings in $30,000 a month consistently. I pay them out, a quarter of that. So I'm making $20,000. Obviously, I'm paying other people as well. So at the end of the day, I'm making around 30%, 30% of what I pay out or what I take in. But yeah, like to get to create to get to a place where you have a team member that can actually make you money requires a lot of sacrifice. $20,000 of sacrifice and at least 2 months of effort. But that creative will bring me $250,000 a year in top line revenue.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have gone it without making that significant sacrifice. And I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to, you know, take bigger risks. One, for two reasons. One, because they have no experience and they just don't know, or two, because they've been burned and they
Mm,
hurt once. And it's just like, we've all gone through heartbreak in life. Just because you just because you went through heartbreak doesn't mean love isn't worth pursuing. And that's the same thing in business. Just because you had a failed experience and a failed partnership doesn't mean that partnerships suck and employees suck. And so I think that's a limiting belief that a lot of people have to get around. And the
yeah.
last part is just like understanding your numbers. Knowing when to make these investments, when you can feel comfortable to make these larger plays. It's nice when you have a playbook, and obviously I'll give you some level of a playbook. Once you have 5K a month that you can reinvest in your business, and you have probably, you're doing probably 15K a month minimum. That's when you should start looking at your first hire to buy back a portion of your time, whether it's a VA for admin and operations and helping you with some level of scheduling and delivery, or it's a video editor because you're still editing, your videos because no one can quite edit like you. Yes, you know. And then the last part, actually, that one sentence brings me to my last part is you have to be okay with 80%. Like that's that's just the name of the game. No one is gonna. If someone was as good as you, as perfect as you, at like as dialed as you,
They'd have their own business.
yeah, they would have their own business most likely. Um, but regardless, like you think you're operating at 100%, but I can tell you when you start maxing out, and you're like, let's just say you're gassing on at like 20K a month, 30K a month on your own without any help. There's a lot of things you run into. One is burnout, and you start being an asshole to yourself and your team, or not even your team. You're an asshole to yourself and agents. Like you're just short with people because
Yeah.
you're like stressed out. And I've seen that even with myself. And there's like seasons for me where I take on too much myself, and I'm like, okay, I need to delegate. No one can do it as good as me. Okay, they can do it at 80%. Okay, that's good enough. Let's get it
Right.
done. So I'm still going through that constantly because that's just part of growth in life.
Yep.
The second part is, like understanding that on the back of you burning out or redlining your own efforts, you have key man risk. If you're sick for 2 weeks, who's shooting? Who's responding to clients? Do they even know you're alive? They might be like, oh shit, I think this guy just died. I haven't heard back from him in a week. And they'll move on to working with another vendor, and maybe that other media provider can do as good of not a better job, and then all of a sudden you lost your opportunity to grow off that book of business. And so there's definitely key man risk. And the last thing is, like what we said before, like at one point you're operating at 100%. You feel like you're like the best person to take care of everything, but at some point you're not. At some point when you're redlining, you're burnt out, you're operating at 60%, 50%, 60, 70% on a lot of fronts. Like on customer service, you think you're operating at better than a VA who can't speak English perfectly when the VA can get back to the client in 20 minutes
Right.
and you take an entire day to get back to a client. If I'm a client, give me the VA. Let me talk to
Yeah.
them. you know? So like you have to understand there, like no matter how much of a hero you are, if you're trying to carry too much, you can still get crushed. So
Yeah.
that's where you just got to commit to delegating, commit to building a team, and commit to, um, you know, hey, we're gonna get bunch of team members, they're going to be at 80, but I'm going to get them to 100. And if your goal is to build a, 10 out of 10 business, it's possible, but no one's going to start 10 out of 10 ever.
Yeah.
No athlete, no employee, even a perfect employee needs to be onboarded. It's they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah. And as you're talking, Brendan, I'm realizing I'm having this realization that I kind of understood when I first started building my team and hiring. It's that at the end of the day, like the theme here is that you need to get out of your own way. And it starts with personal growth. It all goes back to personal growth. The more you can grow as a human being, the more your business is going to grow. And whether that's knowing that you have to cut back on certain things in your life, financial wise, to have the bandwidth and the money to make those hires and make those risks and make those investments, or just knowing that, like, hey, I need to get out of my head and stop thinking that I'm the best at everything, which maybe you are, but back to your point, it's 80% is okay. 80% of your 100 is more than enough to scale an amazing business. And the more that you can understand that what you're building takes people around you to do it with you, you can't build anything great alone, at least not right now. Maybe with AI, you can in a little bit, but
Yeah.
uh, it's you need the people around you to do it with you, and in order to get to that place, you need to get out of your own way.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of limiting beliefs that I didn't know I had, going into business, going into my social relationships that I've had to like overcome in the last decade that's helped me in business. So you're absolutely right when it comes to personal development. At one point, you might not believe it, but I the same height I am now, and we've met in person, so I'm not like a short guy. I'm 5'11", and I weighed like 125 pounds and I had no muscle, and I was gaming all day. And there's nothing wrong with gaming, I think I still enjoy it from time to time, but I was an addict, right? I played like 12 hours a day, skip classes to play, and I had no game too. I was a gamer with no game, as in like I did not know how to talk to women. I had no confidence to go up and say hi and just make an introduction. Hey, you're beautiful. What's your name? Or like, hey, I saw you, I wanted to meet you. And I actually went through a phase where I had to develop that side of me. And people think I'm like super confident. No, I built that brick by brick. Like
Yeah.
I've definitely, I don't know if you know the hover hand meme, right? I've hover handed like a lot of women that I really liked, in my life in the beginning. And I did not have the courage or the experience to lead. And part of growth wasn't, even that's external. It's like leading yourself. I had to lead myself. I had to be my own best friend. I had to improve my self talk, and I had to give myself, patience. And like that self development is what allows you to become a beacon of light for yourself, and then for others to lead others. And it kind of goes back into the saying of like, become a millionaire for the man or woman you would become in the process, right?
Yeah.
And all that you can learn through self development, and knowing um, it's not a straight like
It's
path
not
up.
linear. Yeah.
I think a lot of people like they don't realize how much sacrifice and how many trials and tribulations that you truly have to go through to become a great person. And I'm not a religious person, but I believe in a lot of great sayings in the Bible or from Christianity, like I don't even know if this is something from the Bible, but it's like I feel like it's a Christian thing. But like, hey, when you want to be strong, God gives you, like challenges. And when you want to, if you want patience, God gives you kids. So, uh, like, I really like how that saying goes. And, it's, diamonds are made under pressure. There's so many ways to put it, right? Like, if you want something good, you have to fight for it. And, um, I'm constantly going through that same journey and cycle. And there's always layers and levels to it. Right now, I used to have my personal health in check more, but The gym is my new a new mountain I'm climbing once again, and haven't climbed in a very long time. And you know, it's that discipline of showing up even though when you don't want to, and
Mhm.
learning it again, and bringing it back to my business. Even like those that discipline, I'm bringing back once again to my business, even though I feel like I'm fairly disciplined in my business. Like something that both my trainer, who's my employee, um, we're teaching each other is like, dude, six more. And the reason why is like that it came from like me asking, hey, how many calls you gonna make today, or how many like connections, because he's in sales, and he's like 50. I'm like, dude, it's been 50 for the last like since you started, and some days you don't hit 50. I'm like, how many can you do in an hour? He's just like, eight. I can easily do eight in an hour. I'm like, all right, you have 8 hours in a day. That's 64, right? Let's just say you take an hour break. That's 56. So if you took a whole hour break and you just gave the 7 other hours a full effort, that's six
Six
more.
more.
And so now that I brought that to him in sales, and he's going line by line in the CRM, making sure he hits that six more every day, I'm doing the same thing at the gym. He's like, bro, give me six more. And
Oh yeah.
like anytime I'm finished, like at least one more, right? That's the mentality you have to have. Like I have a muscle memory to just send that last message, like, and it's the same thing that you have to bring into everything in your business is like, hey, you want to strive for that 1% better every day. That one more rep, right? One more rep really adds up. Like if you made, let's just say, you make one call a day, dude, if you did one more, you literally
You
double
double it.
that here, right? So that's just if you're just getting started, right? But if you're like me, 1% and everything that I do just keeps compounding, which is quite nice.
I love it, man. And so, just to dig a little deeper, how do you talk about personal growth and going through that transformation? Like tactically, everyone knows what they have to do to change and transform, but like what is it that you think about in your head, talking about like your why and like why you're doing everything behind it that allows you to do those extra reps, allows you to make those extra calls because everyone can get going for a week, maybe even a month, and then they just drop off. So like what is it that like continuously allows you to go like next level, next level? Because you're a person that I look at, I'm like, fuck. Brendan is like a machine. He's going, 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 and just always growing.
Yeah. Well, the truth in the matter is I don't. I have my off days, and some days I just, there's a saying like, you know, be kind to others, for everyone's fighting their own battles, and everyone is like everyone is dealing with something, whether it's like your friend being an asshole, something happening with your health, like, business and money not working out the way you feel like it could or should. There's always a challenge, there's always a frontier. If you're at 70% and you gave 70%, you gave it 100, is how I like to
Yeah.
frame it. And like you have to be patient and kind to yourself. And there's days I would beat myself up in the past, and I still do. Like I'm still tough on myself, but then I'm always thinking that concept. Am I giving it 100%? Am I trying hard? And being your own best friend, I think, is the most important thing. I think a lot of people like they put themselves down, and their self talk is like really bad. And the worst thing that can happen in life when you do anything, like you try to talk to this, beautiful woman that you see at the grocery market. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, right? The worst thing that can happen if you put yourself out there to a top producing agent and said, hey, can I have an opportunity to come to your open house this weekend and shoot a reel for you? Like it's easier if you say it's free, but hey, normally it's 1,000. I'll do it for 500. I want to prove myself to you.
Yep.
Like, but here's a sample. The worst thing that can happen is they say no. But what happens when you don't even try is you said no to yourself. You rejected yourself, and that resonated with me so much that I, like I realized that I wasn't I wasn't loving myself enough. I wasn't trying to be like, hey, Brendan, you deserve, a shot at that. Like even if they say no, you deserve it. You're worthy of, proving yourself. Like even if I didn't get it, like at least I had a chance to prove myself. At least I had a chance to be the gladiator in the arena. So
Yes.
and that's something that you learn to love over time as an entrepreneur, as a human being doing anything, right? Like the journey is the funnest part. Like a video game, dude, if you get maxed out stats, like it's not even fun after like 10 minutes, but going through it and having to earn each item and earn each like, unlock and skill, that's what makes it fun. And same with like, uh like let's just say sports, right? If you're like the best, great. But like there's no way you can become the best obviously without a lot of practice and a lot of,
Right.
like losses and but like you learn to love it because of the journey, because of like your comrades along the way, because of the people that you can share that moment with. Yeah, imagine like I don't think there's any NBA, champion that wasn't a team player,
Mm.
right? Is that even possible? I don't know. Was there like one like asshole NBA player that
No.
like scored every basket on their own and yeah, like was
Nope.
an NBA, title holder? Yeah, I don't follow sports, but I know it's impossible in my opinion to do it. And I'm someone who definitely has an ego. Like I'm a smart guy. I have a background in, doing a lot of things. I can do web design. I can do copywriting. I can do marketing. I can do sales. I can, build out products. Like, I'm pretty well rounded. But that's not never helped me as much as well, how do I say? Well, it's helped me, but it's actually hurt me when I'm like I'm the only one that can do it
Right.
because there's people that can do it at a higher level and can actually focus and give energy that it deserves. Because me giving everything 20%, 30% means everything's, even if I'm like a 8 out of 10 skill, it's getting a 5 out of 10 execution, even if because I'm giving it 20, 30%. And like I had a manager too at my business who was like, "Oh, yo, I'm doing like 7 people's job," and in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, but at like 30% each, so you're doing 2 people's jobs." So you don't want that in business and in life, and you have to really understand. I think I mentioned it earlier. You have to understand your numbers. Like, what is your limit? What is the benchmark? What is the benchmark that you have set for your team that's realistic, right? You can't expect someone who's just getting started in, sales to do 100 reps in a day. That's like that's like me telling, some random dude on the street to give me 100 push-ups. Is like, okay, it's very unlikely that random person will do 100 push-ups. I can barely do 100 push-ups, in 3 goes. I'll need a break. Um, so you have to understand like who you're dealing with in business and who you hire. I see a lot of people like, you know, not setting the right expectations for themselves going into relationships, going into business. Um, and if you don't know how these numbers add up, like talk to someone. But I have, random, you know, agency owners I talk to, they're like, I'm going to hire someone to help me with sales and marketing. I'm like, what does success look like? And
Mm.
they don't even know they're gonna get me more sales and marketing. I'm like, dude, for all you know, they're gonna suck because you don't know what success looks like. You don't know the benchmark of how many calls they should make. You don't know what they should or should not do. You don't know how to qualify or disqualify them. You're just throwing money at a problem. And if you are, and I did that. I got to $7 million, but I had a pretty leaky bucket. On
Mm.
$7 million, I made 50K. Right now, I'm doing 5 million. I'm making 1 million. So,
Mm.
which one would you rather have? The glory of the number or like the actual sustainable business where,
Yep.
I wasn't, just trying to do everything and like I'm throwing money at this higher, throwing money at this higher. Everyone's gonna, let's just keep it growing, keep expanding. I was someone who didn't know the numbers, didn't truly understand what was sustainable. And yeah, there was some understanding of like how these numbers work, don't get me wrong, but I didn't look at the data. I wasn't listening to the data and like actually looking at it and be like, okay, if I keep this going, this shit's gonna implode. And it almost imploded. The market pulled back, and our company at one point was $500,000 in debt. Like this was like a year and a half ago, and now we're doing $1 million in profits because we turned the thing around, and we actually looked at our numbers, and we actually understood, you know, what goes in and what needs to come out and what's sustainable and who's non-essential. Because if you don't know, you're just guessing, and guessing is what costs most entrepreneurs the most. You know, like intuition works to some degree, and I think it can get you to 300K, 500,000. It can get you to a million. It can get you to 7 million. But at some point, the intuition is no longer like you can't be truly intuitive without looking at the numbers at that scale, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just so important to know your numbers, know when you should make key hires, know how, and when I say numbers, I mean like you need to know like the expectations, the stats, what is the norm? If I'm looking to hire someone in sales, what is a good performance? What is shitty performance? Because I've seen some people hire a salesperson and that salesperson does like 10 calls a day. I'm like, bro, you literally hired someone, it's like hiring a trainer that can do 3 push-ups. Like what's going on? You gotta qualify, who you train
Yeah.
from. And so I think that's like a big lesson that I like to pass on is you don't know what you don't know. And if at the very least, just chat GPT it. Hey, what's a reasonable expectation for my team member that's, helping me with customer service? Like we currently have like 7 calls coming a day, how many do you think she can handle, on a busy day? And if you don't know industry specific numbers, ask other, successful people. Like I can ask you, Cam, hey, your best creative, like that shoots listings for you, how much revenue, how many shoots can it do and handle in a month? Right? You need
Right.
to benchmark these numbers. Otherwise, because I literally talked to an agency owner and I didn't want to be mean or laugh at them, but like I was almost frustrated for them when they told me, "Hey, I'm working my ass off, it's me and this other shooter. We're doing 40 shoots a month." I'm like, bro, I have one shooter who can do 40 shoots a month and they're not
Yeah.
gonna break a sweat. So you're not working your ass off. You just, either, trying to retire or you're
Right.
not giving it all. So like I have a level of expectation that, from real data, or at least a benchmark from other industry leaders. And I think that's how you make better decisions is you have to, if you're going to hire someone, if you're going to do anything, you need to have a good benchmark of what a good person looks like and what a great person looks like. Because
Right.
if you don't, just blindly just saying, hey, I'm going to bring on someone in sales and marketing to help post on social media and, get me more business. What does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
are they expected to put in X amount of reps, do X amount of deliverables? You need to get very clear on that, and that's how you start growing a sustainable business by measuring success.
We learned that lesson the hard way. I don't know if you remember, but we were working with Paul, and he was helping us find a sales VA. This was a couple months ago or late last year. And we just went into this thing thinking that this sales VA would fucking do everything for us and magically bring us all these leads without us ever doing any sort of sales process ourselves and then passing it off to them to do. So like I have learned as an entrepreneur, yes, you want to delegate and you want to find people to do things for you, but you should have a foundation, at least some sort of foundation on every single thing you want done in your business yourself, or a leadership figure should have that done first before passing it off to someone else.
Yeah, that or you work with a consultant that literally has a track record of doing it and
Right.
say, hey, what should the expectation be? What does success look like in this role? Because a lot of people just they throw money at a problem, thinking
That's what we
that
did.
money will solve the problem. But there's
Yep.
a lot of people out there, there's shit doctors out there. You can give them $1 million to cure your cancer and they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah.
It's true. It's the truth, man. Um, So just I know we're kind of wrapping up here. I want to I want to end with talking about goals, and your goals for the future, and maybe just tying to a bigger theme and picture here. You mentioned earlier on that there's kind of two directions you can go with business. You can build a lifestyle business and fund a life that way, and then you can really go hard and build like bigger businesses. And it sounds like you were on one end and now you're on the other end, and you can clarify if I'm wrong here, but what what is your big goal here? You have all these companies you're invested in, you got all these things going on in your life. What is it that you ultimately want, and in the path that you're taking to get there, if that makes sense?
Yeah, great question. So one, I want to experience all that life has to offer, and I've done quite well on the business realm, and obviously there's layers and levels to it, but I'm at a zero when it comes to family. Like I don't have, children. I would love to start a family one day. Actually, when I say I would love, I know, once I have the kid, and I'm holding the kid and I'm raising the kid, I'm gonna be like, this is awesome. I can tell because there's proof from other people like having a kid, not expecting a kid even, and saying, "Wow, this is like the most blessing that
Yep.
or the best blessing you can have in life." So definitely want to start a family, and it's it's something that I want to learn better, which is like balance. I think it's very hard for entrepreneurs wired like myself, who's just obsessive because I was very obsessive, like when I play video games, to have any other like gear. But I would love to learn how to maybe master my mind through I don't know, spirituality, meditation, psychedelics, like to be able to be at a place where you know, I can work 20 hours and feel like I did a lot, and take the other 20 hours and spend it with my family, travel the world, and conquer another frontier. I think it's very easy for a lot of entrepreneurs and people to stay in their comfort zone. And what I mean by comfort zone is like they let their ego get the best of them. Like, hey, I just want to do what I'm good at. I don't want to be a noob at anything. I don't want to start from ground zero. And I think that's why, like, really legendary, figures out there, you can say they're legendary or not, but Mark Zuckerberg is like doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because, dude, this guy fucking conquered the world on the business side, on the like creating one of the most valuable companies in the world. And now he's getting laid on the floor. I'm sure when he started Jiu-Jitsu, he's just getting fucking laid down, and he's just like, bro, don't break my neck, bro. This makes a lot of money. I need my brain. But he's getting just laid down, and I want to feel that again in my life
Mm,
where I don't know what that is. Maybe it's climbing a mountain. Maybe not Mount Everest, but like climbing a harder mountain. Maybe it's picking up cooking, and I'm not bad at cooking, but like to get to a point where like people look at you and they're like, "Damn, you're like a Michelin chef, like on like Gordon Ramsay." Like
oh
to
yeah.
conquer a new frontier that is unique, a unique journey. Whether it's sports, martial arts, cooking. I think I want to explore something like that just to see what else there is in life that I might not even be aware of because I'm so entrenched in business and I love business and I think business is like the best sport and the best like game in the world because really there's like limitless potential and so many
Mhm.
layers of like what you can learn, what you can do and luckily, I traded my addiction for video games for my addiction for business, which makes money. But at some point, it is and it can be very unhealthy. Where you know I've seen it. I've seen it even worse than I wouldn't say it's bad now, but like I've definitely been 120 hours on my phone, like barely looking up.
Yep.
I'm at lunch with my friends, and they're like, "Bro, you're here, but you're not here, right?" So like I've definitely not cured myself from like being straight up, obsessed. I would say I work a reasonable 50 to 60 hours a week now. but yeah, hopefully that answers your question on like what I think is the next frontier. And money is great. I think. Oh, I actually had a second part to the answer.
Yep.
I think what I really want to build is a legacy. And what does a legacy mean to me? One, obviously, you can talk about it being like your family, like whoever I truly raise, or like who's my son or daughter, like my family, and like obviously I pass on generational wealth. For me, that's a cool legacy, but the more exciting legacy that I think I can build is the machine that builds the machine. If you put the right people in place, the right culture, the right value, the right ethics, the right vision, I think it can continue building, right? If you put the right controls financially in place, I think you can have a business that lasts generations. Most businesses last like, I think the average business that's like doesn't fail lasts like 13 years or something, right? I don't know the exact number, but and there's only a few businesses that are generational. Um, and obviously there's like there's reasons why, there's human nature, there's like greed, there's when businesses build to like a really high level, they become complacent. The reason why Blockbuster got completely just obliterated by Netflix, the reason why
Yeah.
Nokia and BlackBerry literally like I don't even think they make phones anymore. I
Hmm.
haven't seen one recently. And they got just smoked by Apple and Android. And I want to build something that can last generations, not based off a product, but based off values, based off the right people, the people, mentoring the next generation of people, where it can continue to thrive and to sustain because also the right controls are put in place, right? Like the United States is the most amazing country in many ways, but at the same time it's in shambles. We have poverty at home, we have violence, we have like riots, and then at the same time, we have this crazy deficit. And like understanding how you can build something that's truly sustainable is very exciting to me. How could the US have been built if we put in like different tweaks in the government and different like bills that the deficit would have never happened, or if the deficit happened, it was a very sustainable like, hey, we're actually borrowing against our future and reinvesting this into things that are worth investing in, not like literally spending $1 billion and it going to nobody and nothing except maybe some rich politicians, indirectly. So,
Hmm.
um, building the machine that builds the machine and creating a legacy that's sustainable, I think is a very noble cause. Where, if I died tomorrow, hopefully, like the lessons I've passed on and you know, very, I think very good like frameworks around abundance, frameworks around you know, um, ego, like that. Maybe some people learn some stuff along the way and they can pass that on to the future generation. I think
Yeah.
that's the most valuable thing to me and what I want to build. The money, I think it's a byproduct of creating some, like if you have really good people, really good values, really good, culture of innovation, of, work ethic, I think the product and the money is just a byproduct.
I couldn't agree more, brother. You see me nodding my head over here because that is the pinnacle of everything, the approach that I take for, both of these brands that I'm building here. And I want to leave a legacy too, but it's not about the money. It's about the impact and it's about the people around me and the people that I'm pouring into to be able to build the machine that builds the machine. And I'm starting to see those effects even as we scale real 3D into, the production space here. Keegan and Carter just completely taking the wheel and like I don't even know what they're cooking up some days. It's just like they're starting to run with it. And that is such a beautiful thing when you build something that not only sustains but grows itself. And I think that's a lesson that I have certainly learned from you being in your group and your mastermind all these years and all the value that I've received. And I just want to wrap up here by saying that it's been an honor to really get to know you on a more personal level, Brendan, and everything that you bring to our community. There's no like you can see why the community is as vibrant and as lively as it is because you pour 120 fucking percent into it like every single day, day in and day out. And that's something I'm trying to take into my community and everything that I've learned being in yours. And just want to commend you on that and just keep on crushing it, brother, because you're doing huge things.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, and yeah, you're someone who I see, very inspirational as well. And whatever I can do to support real power, let me know. Happy to jump in more of these. Happy to sponsor events. Happy to, like make stuff happen for you as well. Thanks for the support, through the years as well. I know it goes both ways, but I think where we vote, like I think the beauty of capitalism is we can vote with our dollars, right? Like you giving me money is just like, okay, I have a duty to continue serving, and that's how I see money. Is money is like a vote of like, hey, where do I want to put energy and resources? And I
Yeah,
appreciate you, entrusting us and some of your prize resources, which is capital. And if we can help you continue to get an ROI, that's my only goal, is to keep helping people make more money. Because especially great people like you, because money is it's not an evil thing. Money is just an amplifier. If you're a good
yes,
person,
it
it just
is.
makes you even better.
Yes, it is, brother. Love it, man. Well, thank you again for being here. Where can people connect with you and learn more about all the stuff you got going on?
Yeah, so the mastermind, if you're in real estate media, check out ACRE Partner, ACRE um, partner .com. We have a YouTube, we have an Instagram. We give away a lot of free content these days, because my foundational belief is to be able to, if you want to make money, you got to make someone else money. So I want to make you money first, and then
Yeah.
maybe I get paid. And then if you want to just check my personal IG out, Brendan Shu, BrendanHsu. You can follow my journey there. And then also I have a website if you want to learn a little bit more about what I do. All my other social media links are there. But appreciate you, Cam, once again hosting me. Always fun to talk. Let me know if you want me on again. I'm always down to do double sessions on a
Yes.
podcast.
There
That's when I
will.
feel like I actually offer value, is when you get invited twice to a podcast, because you're like, okay, the first one was good.
Well, listen, brother, here's what I told another guest, the last guest, this. Shannon and I we're trying to hit all 50 states, just traveling around, and we're going to do a travel podcast series. So when
Love it.
maybe we hit California, we will post up with you and actually do an in-person round two. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I am in California for the LA Mastermind. I am not in California right now. I'm in Medellin, Colombia. So if you want to
That's right.
come way down south, but yeah, I'll probably be back in the States. I'll probably be in Florida. I'm in Florida probably 3 times a year. So if you're on your way to Florida, I might just fly in and kick it with you, and I'll be happy to host you as well.
Sweet, man. I love it. Well, thank you again. And there will be many more partnerships between us and many more conversations to come. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this one. I hope you found it valuable. One last ask: if you like the podcast, if you've gotten value out of it, the Real Power hat is available for purchase. 100% of the proceeds go to our family's foundation, the Tyler Putnam Foundation. The link to buy a hat will be in the description of the YouTube video. If you're listening to the podcast version, that'll be in the show notes. And it
We're
would
doing
mean,
something different. We're doing something different. If you made it to the end of this episode, I'm paying for the next 50 hats. I want to support you.
Brendan,
Come on.
man.
Come on, dude. We got it. We got to get those hats on more people. It's a great hat. So let me know what that is. Invoice me. I'll pay for the next 50 hats. Or, if we don't got enough listeners, we got to run up this episode, because those hats got to go out.
You're a good man, dude. You
Yeah.
seriously are. And thank you for that. Go check out Brendan. He is one of a kind dude.
Go
And
get your
he's
hats. Those are some sick hats.
go get the hats, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.